Welcome. This is technical writing. The fourth will not help you here, and I am not your father. And I am not your father. Hi class, my name is Professor Harding. I'm your tech writing instructor, and I thought that I might open with my buddy Darth Vader there, because after him, well, anyone else wouldn't quite be so bad. Anyway, one reason I wanted to open with the character was that it might give me an opportunity to lead into a discussion about what technical writing is and what sorts of assumptions people have about tech writing, tech writers, etc., beginning with the idea of its relationship to technology, specifically high tech. Most people would associate tech writing with computers, and rightly so, in that computers are one of the main vehicles by which the writing gets completed. But understand that tech writing is not just about computers and high technology and talking about computer systems. Rather, tech writing really is something that is very flexible in terms of its application and its function. Even its style and formatting are things that generally people consider to be very kind of rigid and one-dimensional, but the fact is that tech writing really is about understanding the nature of a writing situation and how to best communicate specific information to a certain group of people in a way that's going to work for them. So, of course, there are particular strategies and techniques and kinds of documents that are most commonly associated with technical writing, such as writing an instruction set or a user manual. And we're going to have you working through a lot of those types of documents and mostly understanding how the relationship between who you're talking to, what you have to say, and how they plan to use that information combine to be able to allow you to make good decisions about the best way to communicate with them. Now, in order to accomplish that, and especially in the online environment, obviously I've created assignments and deadlines, and one of the things I want to talk to you about is the way that deadlines work in this online course. It's a workshop format more than not, and what that means is that you'll be doing a lot of interactive and collaborative work with one another to help try to improve on your skills. And because of that, you have to understand that the deadlines here are pretty strict deadlines. Now, the beauty of taking an online course, just so you don't misunderstand, is in its flexibility. I'm in my home office talking to you on a Sunday afternoon, and that's great. It's working for me right now time-wise. But I still have a deadline to meet, and that is that this document needs to be posted before you need to read it. So by the first day of class, it needs to be up and running, and that deadline is inflexible. If I don't meet it, you're left without information from me. So you can think of the online course as very similar to that, in that you have to meet your deadlines, otherwise you're unable to interact with your audience, but you've got a lot of flexibility in terms of when and where you work to accomplish those deadlines before the time is up. When the time is up, that's all there is to it, though. So be sure, if you're going to have trouble making a deadline on any given day, that you plan ahead. That if you can't get your Monday deadline met because you've got something to do on Sunday, well, there are 6 other days of the week that come before Sunday. I will try as best I can to have your assignments up and available at least a week in advance so that you can plan ahead. Also, in terms of deadlines, what I usually do, and I'm going to start this way anyway, is have 2 days a week that are the standard deadlines. Usually Monday is the big deadline for major assignments, and Thursday would be the deadline for smaller or interactive assignments. My assumption here is that many of you have more time to do homework on the weekends than you do during the week. Of course, this is negotiable. If you come to me and the class as a whole wants to talk about shifting the deadline days from Monday and Thursday to some other days, that can be arranged to a degree, though we have to keep a pretty constant and steady pace throughout the course. Anyway, so in terms of those deadlines as well, some of you might want to try to get ahead in the course and do some of your work in advance or well in advance of the deadlines, especially if you're a working person who knows you're going to be really caught up in something or away or out of touch for a week. These are not good or easy things to manage, but we can manage them. I would say if you know you're going to be missing time in any length than a couple of days, your best bet is to be talking with me about it, because getting too far ahead in the course can also be dangerous in that you lose the opportunity to interact with your classmates and to an extent with me, because you're not on the same page with us all at the same time. So as much as possible, you want to try to do things in the week that they're due, and if anything happens or is going to happen, your best bet is to get a hold of me and try to make arrangements. In this course, you're in the Getting Started module right now, which besides this video just contains some definitions and descriptions of tools and some information that you might need to know to get started. And from here, you're going to go directly into the course content link, which you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. That will bring you to the first or a series of learning modules, each of which contains content, lectures, videos, etc., as well as assignments and discussions for interacting and for posting your work and responses. They're fairly self-explanatory. I'm not going to get into the details of any particular module right now, but you'll be beginning with talking about technical writing and trying to understand what it is, and then moving on to your first formal assignment in Module 2, an object description, which will include things like specifications and dimensional descriptions. You'll also be writing assignments such as an instruction set, a proposal, an annotated bibliography for your research, and ultimately the last assignment for the course is a full recommendation report that you may be working on independently or maybe collaboratively. We'll see how that goes in terms of pairing or teaming up with other people in the class to get this report done. That's something we'll discuss as we go along as well. I do want to notify you of a couple of important expectations and opportunities here. First of all, to get into this class, you should have completed English 101, and regardless of what you did or how well you did there, the expectation in this class is that you've got a fairly strong foundation in grammar and style. What that means is that you can control your language, you know what the words you use mean, and you're able to construct sentences and paragraphs that are logical and proper. If you have trouble with any of these things, whether it's simple things like where to use a comma, not really so simple, or more critical things like the ability to construct correct sentences, you may need to get outside help for these things, because it's not necessarily the purview of a 200 level English course to be teaching you basic grammar. However, it's expected that you're able to accomplish basic grammar, that your texts are going to be proofread and polished and clean and relatively free of errors, certainly free of errors that interfere with meaning. After all, clarity is the most important characteristic of technical writing. If your words are not clear and your language is not clear, understanding is impeded and then the document fails. So you might need to consider, and I will certainly mention it to you if I think you're in trouble, whether or not you have a strong foundation in grammatics, whether or not you might need to line up for yourself a tutor or some extra help in grammar and etc. In the ACE Center, I want to encourage you all to use the Purdue Online Writing Lab at purdue.owl.edu, because they have basically an online handbook through which you can look up any grammatical questions you have about how to structure sentences or how to use certain words or punctuation, and etc. It's a very useful site. It also contains content for the Modern Language Association, so MLA style and resource documentation. But that's enough about that. I don't want to suck all the fun out of the semester before the very first day. So you'll note when you go to the first module in course content that you'll be asked simply to introduce yourself first of all, and then secondly to post a discussion about defining technical writing and providing an example of a technical writing document. So that's where you're going to start. Feel free, please, to contact me. Best contact is through course messages. You can see the messages link on the left-hand side. It works like email. Otherwise, you have all of my contact information on your syllabus. You need to review the syllabus, and you can find out how to get a hold of me otherwise there. But feel free to talk to me anytime you need as we get going, especially in the early stages of the semester when you're trying to get oriented and acquainted with the site and the way that I operate. I'll do my best to help you and accommodate you throughout the semester. Welcome aboard.